Welcome to Reflections, a program where we discuss values and virtues for the transformation of the individual and the society in general. I am Father George Ehusani, and I am speaking once again today with Father Anthony Azuwike of Faculty of Law, University of Veritas University, Abuja. You're welcome once again to the studio.
Thank you, Father.
Father Anthony, the last time we met, we discussed about your coming back to Nigeria and the experience of trauma all over the place, beginning from your own personal encounter with armed robbers that came to your house and so on and so forth. Now, in this episode, I would like us to discuss, you're working with young people.
Yes.
With what you have learned in the recent psychotrauma healing skills course at Terra, what do you think we need to do in our various schools? Because I'm sure you are aware that if you have 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 students, that almost all of them are traumatized.
Yes.
Can you get the best out of them if you do not intervene in their trauma circumstance? If you don't know, if you don't have some programs, what kind of programs do you think can be implemented in schools and colleges and universities so as to begin to address some of the trauma? I mean, you were there and you heard people talk about their childhood.
Yes.
You hear people talk about abuse. You hear people talk about watching their mother beaten by their father and what it has left in their psyche. Now you are with young people coming from different homes, the good, the bad, and the ugly, with all kinds of experiences, including and perhaps very much negative experiences. You're teaching them law.
Yes.
Others are teaching them chemistry. Others are teaching them computer science and teaching them whatever. Is that all that we can do to teach them law, to teach them chemistry? What can we do more to help these people heal, and then so that they could be better citizens and contribute to bettering the society, perhaps more than their parents?
Good. Well, thank you very much, Father George, and for inviting me back. In the last episode, when I sat with you, we spoke about the fact of trauma and how the Terra Institute has helped people like me and a host of others who have taken opportunity, seized the opportunity of the resource that you offer to get better. Because healed people heal people. Meaning, if you are not healed, you cannot heal others. And wounded people often wound people.
Many times wound people.
Yes. Abused people.
Often
abuse people. So we can't speak enough about the value of the psycho
trauma healing.
So thank you, like I said, for bringing me back. And to answer your question, you remember when we had that session not long ago, in my group, the group that gathered for that whole week was a school psychologist.
Okay.
Or counselor, let me say school
counselor. Yeah, guidance counselor.
Yes, who doubles also as a teacher. She was one of the people in the group that went through the program with me. And her testimony showed that there's a program going on already in some schools. How much that is widespread is what I can't determine.
Yeah, the guidance counselors in secondary schools, many of them don't have any specialized training in things like
yes, and that's where I was going next, to say that encountering that school guidance counselor also informed me that many of them who are already playing that role in schools need a little more training, because, like as rightly said, many of them don't have a formalized training either in psychology or in guidance and counseling in the job they do.
It's more, and in many schools, it is more of career guidance.
Yes, okay.
And some of them have some basic training in psychology.
All right.
But the focus for many guidance counselors in schools is career guidance. Then, of course, many have tried and are engaged in supporting the young people in their psychological, emotional issues.
Yes. So, so that's one point, a need for retraining and training for those who have not been trained to go back and impact these very wounded children, and I'll come to that, in our schools. That's point number one. And point number two is to say that from working with young people, some of them very young, in our universities. And by the way, I think that some of these kids that are being sent to us in the universities are just children. Not just that they are minors by the legal age of under 18. Some of them are really very young. I'm talking about as young as 14. And as a human being, as a priest, as a pastor, I feel like parents are not being fair to these children.
Send a 14-year-old to the university?
Yes, they are there in our universities.
Oh, sad.
In this country. And parents think that's novelty.
Oh, no, they are very happy with it.
They are
very proud.
Yes, they are doing their kids a favor, or they are champions by sending. But when do children have time to be children?
That's it.
Kids need time to be kids.
Absolutely important. I have consistently struggled with parents who like to push their children to secondary school at age 9.
We're pushing them to their peril.
Yeah. At age 9, you push your children to the university at age 9. There is a certain childhood experience that children require to have at age 1, at age 3, at age 5, at age 10. They are supposed to be playing with toys.
Exactly.
And playing with children of the same age around.
Yes.
Not involved in the life of a university, of a secondary school. Now, but parents are very happy. It has become a matter of competition. Foolishly.
But we're doing those kids a
matter of competition that, you know what? My 15-year-old has gained admission to the university, is in the university.
Yes.
Your 15-year-old is beginning to do what a 19-year-old is supposed to be doing.
Yes.
And your 15-year-old has lost the opportunity ever to do what 15-year-olds do.
Yes.
And at age 40, you may begin to miss what 15-year-olds do.
That is true.
I mean, psychologists have found out that if you do not do what you are supposed to do at 2, at 4, at 5, at 12, at 15, at age 50, you may still be missing it and be misbehaving because you failed to do the 14-year-old behavior at 14.
Yes, that's what psychologists, as you know, call compensation. You begin to compensate for those things that you missed. So that's on the secondary level. And then when you come to the general life of the young people that we have to deal with every day as school teachers, as lecturers, you see that at the root of it, especially when it comes to behavioral problems that they manifest, the first index is family dysfunction.
Family dysfunction.
Yes.
My father and mother may be living together, but the relationship is not really functional.
Many are not even living together. And so there's a tension in the life of the child. The mother is pulling one way, the father is pulling another way.
Sometimes they are struggling over the child.
Yes, absolutely. Either custody battles going on or just affection battles. The mother wants the child to love her more, the father wants the child. So, and a lot of such kids in the university settings, not just my university, but in the university settings.
Yes.
And every time there's a behavioral problem, if you are diligent enough to go down to the root, you see that's where it's coming from most of the time. Perhaps not 100% of the time, but most of the time.
No. It's so well-documented research that a lot of adult delinquency, the teenage delinquency, adult misbehavior, criminality, a lot of it can be traced to family dysfunction.
Absolutely.
That one is not debatable.
Yes. So that's where the role of a well-trained counselor, will be very invaluable. One who can understand these children, not just perhaps judging them or further traumatizing them by applying the wrong methods or adopting the wrong approaches to trying to treat their behavioral problems. But if we understand them from the root, and that's what this kind of training that you offer, will do for people. Help you see problems from the root.
It is called trauma-informed care.
Exactly.
So you are a pastor. If you are trauma-informed, you can carry out trauma-informed pastoral care.
Yes.
If you are a teacher, you can do trauma-informed teaching
Yes.
of these young people,
Yes.
and etc. So it means everyone. In fact, these days in America there are organizations that are called trauma-informed organizational structure,
Wow.
meaning that the MD, it's not just the human resource personnel,
Yes,
but the MD, the directors, the staff are trauma informed
Yes.
to be able to recognize that this staff that is misbehaving may have stories.
Fundamental issues.
Yes. So you need to revisit his narrative or her narrative and recognize that he or she needs help. Because in a society like our own, which is part of, I don't know if you have had time to read the long paper I wrote on the imperative of trauma healing.
Yeah, we read that preparatory to your class, to your session. Yes.
So if people are aware that we are all victims of trauma, various degrees,
yes,
and that we are all struggling with issues, including multi-generational trauma.
yes,
You know, I said in that paper, for example, that somebody whose father was born
yes,
in Asaba
Mhm.
in 1960, or about 1967,
yes,
or who was a young person and witnessed the horrors of the genocide,
yes. So the Asaba massacre.
of the Asaba massacre, October 7, 1967,
Yes,
and you think it is not affecting that child.
that's a long life injury.
Correct.
You know, long life psychological and mental injury.
So these children are not only wounded by what is happening in Nigeria today, they are sharing in the wounds of their parents, the wounds their parents have carried.
Yes,
So to be aware of that is to be trauma informed.
exactly.
In the university setting, what do you think could be done?
Well, like I said earlier, Father, first of all will be training and retraining in these fundamentals. And, you know, your program adopts a lot of cutting edge research, you know, modern day research on how to treat trauma and psychological issues.
Before you go into, sorry to cut you, before you go into that, what about a little more on what we are talking about? How do we discourage parents from sending 14, 15-year-olds to the university, which the university environment is meant for adults?
Adults, yes.
So what can we do?
Well, I think as priests, Father, what we can do is what we're doing now, you know, talk about it. And then as a practitioner of education myself, you know, let them know that you are not doing your children the favor you think you're doing them by sending them as children to undertake adult engagements. University is an adult engagement.
But can the university system not have a base age below which they don't admit?
Well, I would highly recommend that. But again, the reality of the Nigerian society and culture can be a big obstacle to a lot of things. If you don't take them, there are 100 other schools and institutions willing to take them. So you lose out. And nobody
there is
wants
actually a minimum age for university admission in Nigeria. There is a minimum age.
I want to say, like any other thing in Nigeria, who keeps the law to that extent in our country? There are laws and rules for everything in Nigeria, but how many of them are being kept by our countrymen and women? You know, I know for sure that in the US, most universities, you know, would not accept you if you have not hit the age of maturity, which is 18.
And in the UK,
yes,
you advance according to your age anyway.
According to your age.
So there's no way you can be 14,
Yes.
15. And many Nigerian children that were sent to the UK, they had to go down below.
Exactly.
To classes below.
Because they came too fast.
Because they came too fast.
You know, and in the US, they program the secondary school level, which they call middle school and high school, to coincide with when you're age 18. So by the time you are hitting college, you're already 18 or 19. And so, because they don't want to mess with minors, there's a lot of delicate issues when you talk about dealing with a minor, you know, and nobody wants to take responsibility for a minor because minors are meant to be with their parents.
Yes.
But I think legally, we are not mature to that level to know the sensitivity of dealing with minors in our society. And so universities don't think it's a big issue.
Because you see, because if the laws were as in the US,
yes,
the president of the university, the heads of departments, they will be frightened stiff
Yes.
to accept a minor,
minor.
because if anything goes wrong, they go to jail.
It's a double level responsibility you have.
Yeah.
You are dealing with a student in the wrong way, and also that's a minor.
Yes.
So I don't think any university in the USA want to mess with that. So you come when you become an adult. So whatever they're doing is taken for granted. We're talking to adults. We're dealing with adults.
And he's taking his own decision.
Your decision, and if you hit the age of drinking, which is 21, you drink at your own peril, nobody bothers you. But here, are we saying that our children who are in universities as early as 14, 15, 16 are not drinking? Who is taking responsibility for that? In a strict legal sense, the university should take responsibility for that, because you accepted these minors.
You accepted to be parents.
And
at home, they may not be able to do those things because of their parents.
Because of their parents.
Now they are with you. You are supposed to be the one playing the role of a parent.
Exactly. And it's
in local parentis.
Local parentis. But it's practically impossible to police 5,000 kids, knowing what they are doing at any given point.
That's why you need adults to be there.
Exactly. So I think it goes back again to the legal framework and the legal consciousness of our nation, which again is lacking. If we're that legally conscious, we will know that we can be sending children to universities to go and engage in adult engagements when they are not up to that. So awareness is one point. And then, of course, like I said, training and retraining of those who cancel them. And of course, trainings of teachers in general, because the school counselors cannot do all of that by themselves. They are just one person,
yes,
in a whole sea of students. So if the teachers
also
are aware, we can be of greater help to these children. And like I said, through training, we get to understand that there are fundamental issues plaguing these children over and above what we see, which are manifestations of the underlying issues. Mm-hmm. So a counselor or a lecturer who understands that, or a school teacher who understands that, is more likely to be empathetic.
So from what you're saying, if some good work is done in secondary school,
yes,
it helps your situation in the university.
Absolutely. Because if we get better products, by way of students into the universities,
yes,
you are more likely to have better products as universities. So it goes back to the basics.
So as things are, what can you do in the universities? As things are.
First of all, I will do what I've been doing better now, because this is the first time I've been professionally, giving some kind of tool as apart from the little psychology we did in the seminary, which is very vital. I can't downplay that.
Yeah.
But on a more professional level, this has been it for me. So going forward, now I think my vision also has shifted from just looking at those students as, they are doing drugs, yeah, they are jumping out of the fence, But again, fundamentally, one needs to understand
these are wounded children.
These are wounded students. Mm-hmm. They carry wounds. So jumping the fence, doing drugs or whatever, are only symptoms of more underlying realities that they are living with. And again, it brings us back to empathy, because if we don't empathize with people, then we are not likely to adopt the correct methods to help them out.
Talking about healed people heal people.
Yes, Father.
We're back to the issue of the functionaries in the university,
yes,
the academic and non-academic and administrative staff, in their relationship with these 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 young people. Healed people heal people.
Yes.
So there needs to be quite some work towards the healing of the faculty, of the administrative staff,
yes,
of the matrons, all those people,
everybody,
so that they can be of better service,
yes,
to these young people.
Absolutely, because like we kept discussing during that week of our training, that most Nigerians, I think saying most Nigerians is putting it modestly. I'm tempted to say all Nigerians are traumatized.
I mean, if you look at our circumstances,
yes,
of course.
Yes, we're all wounded. So every strata of our national life, every individual in this nation, from the least to the greatest, is in need of this mental, traumatic, psychological healing, which now translates into whatever jobs we do. And for us who are in educational settings, we now have to bring that down to the children who look up to us for help. And if you're not healed how do you heal someone? If you're not equipped to help, how do you help someone? We might even end up hurting them.
Oh yeah, I mean, we kept hearing people talking about a father that was brutal, a teacher that was brutal, a whatever that was brutal.
Yes.
So we're dealing with people who are struggling with issues within themselves, who are broken, who are shattered within themselves, visiting their brokenness on others. That now highlights very powerfully the critical importance of healing for those who manage young people.
Absolutely. And that cannot be overemphasized, And we have to be humble to accept that by the fact of being teachers, it does not mean that we are equipped to deal with those issues that present themselves in educational settings. So humility would mean, seeking out the professional.
I must say that I continue to give gratitude to Professor Michael Kwanashe, your former VC.
Yes.
Who came to Terra, came to me. This is about 2015 or 14. He came to me and said, look, there is a problem. I am not satisfied for a young person to come to Veritas University and get a degree in political science or computer science and go. It is a religious university.
Yes.
There is something that should distinguish our university,
yes.
And that is human formation.
Exactly.
Then he told me a story of a young girl, maybe 21, 22, 9:30 a.m., he decided to go to the hostel and saw her lying on the bed and said, young woman, don't you have a class? She said, I have a class. Why are you here? She kept quiet. She has a class. She's not going to class. She's lying down on the bed at 9:30 a.m. and she has no explanation. She's not sleeping. Prof said to me, Father, we need help.
Yeah.
It's part of the reason why the members of the Senate actually came here for training at that time.
At that time.
Because he said, it's a religious university. I don't think that we should just graduate people. He gets degree in mathematics, he gets degree in this. So what? And goes away as broken as she came into the university?
Yes.
He said, no.
Yes.
So my own plea would be that your colleagues, that everyone, whether academic or administrative,
yes.
that everyone should know that we are pastors in the real word of what pastor means, shepherds
yes.
over these children. And especially as you're talking of age 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, to know that we are responsible. We have taken on a responsibility
yes.
towards the transformation of these children.
Yes.
Some of them, their parents cannot do much because their parents themselves
are broken
and need help.
Yeah.
But they have brought these children into the world.
Yes.
And we as an institution, as a university, as a church, we have accepted these children.
Yeah, I must say, Father, that the current Vice Chancellor, Father Ichoku, also has continued in that tradition of focusing on the human dimension of these children. So he has put in measures and personnel that help to ensure that these children.
Yeah, he has invited me twice to the university on that.
Are guided in the way. So I think I want to give credit to Veritas University on that. Compared to other universities, we're doing well in trying to form these children to be human beings first. Because if you're not fully human and you become a scientist, for instance, you'll be a disaster to the world.
I mean, already it is happening.
Yes.
What they say people are doing with artificial intelligence and artificial general intelligence now.
And producing viruses in the laboratories and sending them away. Some people think that COVID-19, for instance, was manufactured, stuff. So that's what scientists without that human spiritual formation, can do. Same thing with lawyers. You produce a lawyer that is not truly human. It
I
becomes
will
a
be
disaster.
smart and use technicalities to knock off everything.
Exactly.
The kind of thing that is making Nigerians now to say to everybody, go to court.
Go to court.
You guys, you lawyers, you guys better think about it seriously, because by the time somebody in the open slaps you and say you can go to court because he knows you won't win.
You will not win. You know?
That's too bad.
But Father, that's the reason why, again, Father Ichoku and the entire Catholic Church in Nigeria established the
Law
faculty of law, so that we can produce lawyers with not just academic distinction.
Not just lawyers that we say you can go to court, but lawyers that will ensure justice.
Justice. Lawyers who have conscience. You know, St. Thomas Aquinas said that the conscience is the voice of God in man.
Yeah. I hope somewhere in your faculty,
yes,
that quote from St. Augustine of Hippo,
yes,
that a society where there is no justice is nothing but a bunch of rogues,
yes,
bandits.
yes.
A society where there is no justice is nothing but a bunch of bandits.
Yes.
That should be somewhere, so that those who are learning law in your university should not just be preparing to use the technicalities of law,
yes,
but substantial justice.
Yeah, I teach constitutional law. You know, with Professor Azuwike, you know, he's my principal in that light. And lately, you know, listening to him and then myself, you know, going into class, it's been, look, do not look at the aberrations in our constitutional life in Nigeria. This is our constitution, and it makes provisions for the right things. The wrong things that are being done, do not use them as standards. You know, I think that's where we make the difference as a Catholic university and as a Catholic faculty of law, to say to the people or to the children, look at what is the correct thing. Don't follow what you see on ground, you know. And I think if they can understand that, which I think they do, because we listen to them also speak in class, you know, many of them, as young as they are also traumatized, they're angry. They already know that the country is going in the wrong direction. And here they are being taught to be those who will uphold our laws,
transform the society.
Yes, and our constitution, and transform the society with the tools of these. So that's our focus.
I wish you success in that faculty, and I wish all our people who are involved in various universities, because what we're saying now about Veritas University should apply to all our universities. Society will be better if those who teach in our universities, those who are administrators in our universities, if they have this kind of orientation and do their own best to produce young people who would take Nigeria to the admirable heights that we dream about.
That's our aim, Father.
On this note, we bring this program to an end. I've been speaking with Father Anthony Azuwike of the Faculty of Law, Veritas University, and we have been speaking about the need, one, to make sure you don't send children to the university. Send adults to the university. There is nothing to be proud of for sending a 14, 15-year-old to in the university. Nothing, because you are priming that child for problems in future. Next is that universities should also be careful about taking 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old children, because if society works with law, then you, the administrator of the university, you are taking on responsibility of a parent. And can you really be parent for 5,000 children, 3,000 children? Therefore, it is important to resurrect that law, the Nigerian law, that places a minimum age. University life is adult life. It's not supposed to be for children. May the Lord bless us.
Amen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you.